What is your role in this family?
Hi, my name is Paul Castellano, and my parents were from Sicily, Italy, and migrated to New York, where I was born and raised. As a young child, I admired the mafia, and I dropped out of school at an early age. I worked with my father at his butcher shop, and at the age of 19, I went to prison for a short period of time. After that, my life in crime really took off, and I kind of worked up my rankings a little bit. I inherited the crime family because my cousin was Carlo Gambino, the boss and most well-known, recognizable mafia boss, and he married my sister, so we're a close family. And yeah, I inherited the boss position when Carlo died, and I was the boss ever since.
Hi, I'm Carlo Gambino. I'm from Sicily, Italy, and I was born into a crime family that had strong ties with the mafia. And because of that, my family was rich and powerful. I really wanted to continue to get richer and more powerful, so I moved to New York because my mom's whole side of the family lived there and was already involved in the mafia there. And once I got there, it was around Prohibition time, and I was in my late teens. And I started to help other mafia bosses because mafia business was booming during Prohibition because we're smuggling a lot of alcohol and making a lot of alcohol. And that's what really helped me dip my toes into like the American Italian mafia. And through a lot of murder and crime, I ended up becoming very rich and powerful and became what the Gambino crime family is named after.
What are your thoughts on this murder?
I personally do not support the death and assassination of Paul Castellano. I think that John Gotti was wrong in murdering him and arranging for his assassination. Personally, I trusted Paul. He was not only my cousin, but he was also the brother of my loving wife and mother of my children. I think that he would have done whatever was necessary to help the family succeed in white-collar crimes. I believe that he would have been able to lead the family to great success, instead of John, who instead killed him and did not follow any of my requests. Upon my death, I wanted Paul Castellano to take over the family because he was my right-hand man. I truly believe that he would have done what was necessary, and I think that he would have been able to help the family continue to succeed. But with John Gotti's terrible actions, I just don't know how the family is going to work anymore. I really hope we can continue to succeed, but without my first pick leading us, I'm not too sure.
Admit that I am responsible for the assassination against Paul Castellano, but I believe it was in the best interest of the family. He lost a lot of respect within the family itself and was making very poor decisions that if he stayed in power, the entire crime family would have completely been eradicated because he was leading us down a very dark path. He had little respect for the people in the family and little respect for the people on the ground. A lot of people hated him and he hated a lot of people. In order to save the crime family, I had no choice but to assassinate him and take over. He was a businessman and not too much of a street guy, and that just didn't match well with our values. And as part of the mafia, murdering people comes with the job. It's not that big of a deal, guys. It had to be done, so let's calm down.
What are your thoughts on the law?
Well, for the most part, it helped me a lot that I was a legitimate businessman. I had a few businesses, and that was kind of good cover. Kind of helped me stay under the radar. But unfortunately, the FBI tricked me and planted bugs in my home. So without my knowledge for years, they were tracking information and listening to my conversations, unfortunately, and caught a lot of stuff that would definitely put me in jail. And that eventually got me busted. They used that evidence against me. And my home was a safe space. I always try to be cautious and try to keep my circle close, but that was what got me busted in the end and ended me. I would have gone to jail, but I got killed. But
I avoided going to jail and interacting with the police and government officials in a lot of ways. Number one, I had really bad health problems, especially in my later years. And that ended up being a blessing in disguise for me because that meant that I was often too sick to do a whole lot of anything. This was pretty good because the less I was out, the less I was really doing illegal things, especially in my later years. This was also helpful because I was officially indicted in 1970, 6 years before my passing, but I wasn't actually sent to a trial or convicted of anything because I was too sick to ever really appear in court. I also encouraged for all my troops to not traffic any narcotics because a lot of people were getting caught with that, and I knew that that by avoiding it, it was a good way for us to stay under the police's radar. I was also very kind to all the FBI agents who tried to investigate me. I mainly tried to win them over by giving them desserts and coffee and making sure that I was always very polite and kind to them. I mainly was able to stay pretty under the radar and stay very unassuming because of all these things, and I actually didn't die from anything too bad. I died of natural causes due to my health problems without ever being in jail, so that helped me avoid the police.
How did you gather income for the family?
In order to keep the Gambino crime family well enriched during my leadership, I made sure we put a lot of focus on gambling, loan sharking, and extortion. We also tie in our group on construction, labor unions, and trucking industries. This made sure we had a steady stream of cash always flowing in. I also made sure we dealt in a lot of drug trafficking. A lot of the older members in the Gambino crime family heavily disagreed with this because they worried that we would get caught and get in trouble with the law, but I believed it was necessary in order to maintain the strength of the Gambino crime family. So that's what I did in order to bring in money.
Like I said previously, I did keep the family business of the butcher shop going, and that was kind of a special case because it was a legitimate business. But contrasting that, I ran mostly illegal businesses. Like many mafia bosses, I took the route of extortion, gambling, and loan sharking. That was where most of the income came from, but something special for me was I usually chose not to use violence. That was kind of different for most bosses. But I tried to teach lessons. I would use violence when necessary, but it was not my main source of power, and I found other ways.
What is your legacy?
I was impactful to American history in many ways. First and foremostly being that I was the lead of a ginormous organized crime organization for almost 50 years. I led this for an extremely long amount of time, and miraculously I was never murdered or assassinated, and I only passed away due to my poor health, so no one really got me there. I was also incredibly influential in my community, and many children looked up to me and wanted to be me, as well as many ladies wanted me, including my own cousin. Love you. I also was very influential because I joined ties with a lot of other mafia bosses in a time when many other mafias and mobs were having turf wars and were fighting amongst each other. I tried my best to unite with other leaders to be able to focus on more of the big picture, and all of that is what helped me become very influential to American history today.
I was influential in many ways, both to the Mafia Society, to New York, and just many communities. Like other mafia bosses, I was respected. I was not thought highly of by my family, by the Gambino family, but I did have some level of respect as I was the boss, so people had that respect of looking up to the boss. But I was usually, a lot of the family did not like me, did not like the way I ran things, but they had to have that respect for me. I impacted the family by continuing the reputation of the crime family and the community, continuing that extortion, the illegal businesses, and keeping the mafia and the Gambino family name alive.